this is going to be fun. And I'm going to dig right into this. If you see anything on this screen you want to take a picture of, absolutely go for it. Just grab your phone and snap away. One thing that's really important is that we are giving you this presentation. Jacob over here is filming it for us, and you'll even get copies of the slides. But as Amy was talking about, what the heck is a destination assessment? And we've been secret shopping you. That's what we've been doing. We have now been here for a month. And so we hadn't been here before. But nobody gave us anything. Nobody told us at the Red River Regional Council or anywhere, gave us any heads up. You got to see this. You got to talk about that. We're just here like any other first-time visitor. So there's no input. So we just came here just like anybody else. And so just so you have an idea, we've done more than 2,200 communities where we have secret shopped them. And that's in the U.S., across Canada, Western Europe, Scandinavia, you name it. On this trip, we've been doing all of these communities that are in your 4-county region. And these are all the incorporated places that you have. And so we've been to every one of these, some of them multiple times, just to check it out. And one thing that's really important about this whole process is that we are doing exactly what anybody else would want to do. If they were looking at this area to live, to create a job, or to work or anything, they're going to look at it just like we did. Not very many people get handheld all through the whole process. So it's been fascinating to go through all of these. And by the way, there may be some times when you have to correct me on pronunciation, like what happened to me when we went up to the Pembina Gorge and got quickly corrected that it's Pembina, and most people don't even pronounce the B in it, Pembina. And so there may be a few of those. And so when we do this, we did look at the marketing. How easy was it to find information? And then, was it good enough to close the sale? And then finally, how did you stack up with the competition of Western, North Dakota, or, Minot and all those areas, or even Grand Forks and Fargo, or South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, you name it. But what I'm going to concentrate on today is the on-site, what we saw. And you're going to see this all through photographs of our experience here. Is this a place we'd want to live? And so we looked at your homes, your neighborhoods, schools, health facilities, you name it, local parks, recreation, and then finally things to do in the area. And one thing that's really important, I'm going to touch on this in a little bit, but marketing will only bring people to your county once. Only once. The only thing that really brings them back is the product. It's the primary draw. What brought us here in the first place? What else was there to do? And I'm going to get into all of these in just a couple of minutes, and then find the people we interact with. And so we wore 3 hats. So this isn't just about tourism. It's a place to live, raise a family, and retire. And we looked at this not through our eyes, but through the eyes of people in their 30s primarily, younger families, because that's the future. And then as a place to work, invest in, bring a business, and as a place to visit, but more than just a day trip where we just go out to one of your lakes and then we go right back home. Our experience in North Dakota, we have worked up in Williston. We used Medora as a great case history. We've worked in Dickinson, and of course I've spoken in Minot and Bismarck, and I've been to Grand Forks before for a meeting a couple years ago, and in Fargo. And so we've been in a lot of these communities. And then for you, these are the incorporated communities that are in Nelson County. And so we visited all of you, and you're going to see what we saw, from a first impression. Now, our primary goal with this whole effort was this. What else could be done locally to make Nelson County and your communities even better than they are right now? So there's no throwing anybody under the bus. There's no, well, you did this wrong or you did that wrong. I mean, this is all about, because we hadn't been here before. And so that's what's really critical about this. But the bottom line is, how do you increase the population? Because we notice every one of these 4 counties is losing population. The only area that isn't is Grand Forks and like Thompson and its surrounding communities. And then how do we increase local investment? How do you find ways local business can be more successful? How do we include more entrepreneurial opportunities? And if we look at all these demographics, before I get into all the photography, there's where you were in 2010, according to Esri and the US Census. There's where you are now, and this is what is projected for 5 years from now. So you're not losing them fast, but you're losing them. And by the way, before you get new residents, how do you even keep the ones you already have? And so that's something we have to address. But the bottom line is this means change, and change is never easy. It's never, I mean, it's hard. And so this means change. And without change, communities die. And I'm not going to tell you, that's in one of your communities. And so if you belong to one of the communities in the county and you're going, you know what, we don't want any change, we're good with it, you need to let us know, and then we'll concentrate on the other ones. Because I've been in some communities over the last month where you could tell we were not welcome. You know, I think it was one of your communities where there was a group of people standing in front of a tavern in the middle of the day, the middle of the week, and we were taking pictures, and a guy comes out and says, "What are you taking pictures of?" That's all it takes for somebody to say, "We're not living here." That's all it takes. Just one off-the-cuff comment from somebody. And so that's what you have to understand. And things will, if you're willing to embrace change, you won't become the next ghost town. And that's our whole comment for this. Now, the setup. I want to give you 7 quick facts that are really driving the future of Nelson County and all the counties around you. Number 1 is quality of life. And this is the fact that jobs are going where the talent is or where the talent wants to be. That's the first time in U.S. history. In the past generations, we always went where the work was. If it was automotive, we went to Detroit. If it was agriculture here, we went wherever the jobs were. No more. The younger generations are going where they want to live, and they'll find a job or create one. And so the new reality is community development, which is quality of life, is leading economic development and tourism development. So welcome to the age of placemaking. So you're going to see me really concentrate about the quality of life in your towns, because that's what's going to draw us. And so for the first time in U.S. history, quality of life is leading economic development. And you know what's interesting about this is that the focus of every single elected official, from the President of the United States to your governor, to county commissioners, to mayors and city council people, to school boards, every single one, number 1 thing to do is everything they do should be focused on, will this improve the quality of life for our citizens? And so, of course, your mission is to be the most desirable place to live in North Dakota, or in the Red River region, or even in Nelson County, for that fact. And that's really driving everything that we're doing. And then number 2 is tourism is the front door to your non-tourism economic development. That means anybody coming here, even not as a regular tourist, leisure visitor, all these people are coming here first as what? A visitor. Is this a place my client would want to live? His employees or her employees would want to live. That's what this is about. And that's where tourism comes to play. And by the way, nothing sells quality of life better than tourism, because that talks about your fishing or your hunting or your trails, all your leisure time activities. And then the benefit of tourism, if you can get them to come, is people come, they spend money, and leave. We like that. By the way, I think all 4, well, probably not Grand Forks County, but the other 3 counties here have a tremendous amount of leakage. That means you earn money in Nelson County or Walsh County or up in Pembina County, but you spend a lot of it in Grand Forks County. I mean, we've been here for a month. We learned how important 32nd Street on Grand Forks is, where all the big boxes are. And everybody we've talked to say, well, when you do your major shopping, Grand Forks, I can't even finish the sentence. So that means there's leakage. Well, tourism can help fill the gap of money you leak out if you can get them to spend any money. And the number one activity of visitors is shopping, dining, or entertainment in a pedestrian-friendly setting. And by the way, it doesn't mean you have to have a big downtown like Grand Forks. All you need is half a block. And then that's where 80% of any non-lodging spending takes place. So what visitors want is local flavor, like Elaine's. We don't want to come here. I mean, we came here and Elaine's, we weren't sure whether it was open or not, you know, but not everybody's going to want to come here and go, oh, there's a DQ, let's eat here at Dairy Queen. We really want the local flavor. So chains and franchises really don't cut it as far as getting that taste of what you're about. And so to win, you must be able to monetize your tourism effort. So if anybody comes out here and they're looking for a place to live, or they're coming out here for hunting, or they're coming out here for fishing, or they're going to be on one of your lakes, then can you get them to spend any money? Because people could easily drive here from Grand Forks, spend the whole day here, not spend a dime and go home. And then you go, well, what's the benefit of tourism? In that case, there wouldn't be any. And you got to monetize it. So the primary benefit of this, it's the fastest, easiest way to grow your economy, by getting people to see who you are. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. And then marketing versus product. This is what I told you before. Marketing brings people to you just once. But what is it that brings them back? First of all, it's the primary activity, whatever it is, whether they're here for harvest, whether they're here to visit friends and family. And then what else? You're supporting amenities like, do you have lodging, whether it's campgrounds, RVing is big now, dining, place to eat, public restrooms, things like that. You know, can I get even visitor information locally? And then the overall ambience. What was our feeling when we were in your downtown? And that downtown only has to be half a block long. And then finally, the people they interact with. That's the only thing that brings people back. And by the way, it's a whole lot cheaper to bring people back than to always get new ones. Because after a while, they've all been there and done it. And then number 6 is always locals first. That is so important to this. And if you don't hang out in your community, whether it's Lakota or anywhere else, neither will visitors. They go where you go. So when friends and family visit you, where do you take them? Are you taking them to Grand Forks? Or are you keeping them in the community? Where are you taking them? And this is always about locals first. And finally, the last one. This is really the crux of everything we're doing. Forbes, Niche.com, Money Magazine, I can't remember all of them. There was like 10 different organizations, including like the University of Michigan, went out there and asked people in their late 20s through their 30s and very young 40s, so mainly people in their 30s, what are the 10 things that you decide where you're going to live? What are in order, what are the most important 10 things? And by the way, this is the first time in U.S. history we've been more mobile than ever. Wall Street Journal just did a huge article and information about that. This is the first time people are saying, we're okay with leaving home, but we're not sure where we want to go. And they're looking for quality of life first. And so here are the 10 things they want in order of importance. Number 1 is they want safety, particularly for kids. One thing you have to understand about millennials, that's who we're generally talking about, is boomers were having their kids in their early 20s. Millennials are having their kids in their late 30s, early 40s, the whole 10 years later. And so they're just now starting to get into having kids. Fathers of the millennial generation spending twice as much time with their kids than us boomers did. So that's number 1. And I think you've got that. That's why, by the way, we're in the middle of, what did Wall Street Journal call it? The rise of rural. It used to be that people said rural areas are dying everywhere. Not so fast, because people want the rural areas for safety. Number 2 on their list is we want a good educational system and child care. So it doesn't mean you have to have a school in your community, but they want to make sure whatever school they're attending is good. And what people will do is they will go to the web and they put best schools in Northeast North Dakota. what shows up? And they might go to niche.com. Then they'll scroll down that list. There's Fargo, there's West Fargo, there's Jamestown, there's Bismarck, there's Valley City, there's Minot, there's Lincoln. I mean, they'll keep Devil's Lake is right there, not too far from you, Dickinson. I mean, we keep going down. We finally get down. There's Grafton, showed up, and they still have a B. But overall, all these are Bs. It's not like you slip down even into the Cs. And so that is how they're deciding, where do we want to live? This is one of their priorities. They're not going to your website. They're looking at what other people say about your school system. Number 3 for this is they want to be involved. One thing that's really important, that millennials are the most civically minded generation in U.S. history. As a matter of fact, there are more mayors under the age of 35 today than ever before in U.S. history. Ever before. I mean, totally opposite. Us boomers, when we were growing up, were down with the establishment. Then somehow we became the establishment and really screwed it up. And so, but they want to be they're civically minded, they want to be involved. They want a seat at the table. We've worked in many towns where the mayor will say, young people in your 30s, what can we do to make this a place you'd want to live in? And they'll give them basically the keys to the city. And so when we did this assessment and everything, we looked through their eyes, because I speak to them a lot. They are very diverse. They're the most educated generation in U.S. history. But they want to be involved. They want you to be accepting, welcoming to new ideas. That was a challenge where we went. It felt like it was closed doors, somebody new's moving in. We were going downtown, just walking around, and people would be sitting there going like this to us. I mean, in some of your towns, like, what are you doing here? And we just felt really uncomfortable. But if you're not welcoming, accepting, you know, for instance, I really like, which town? Petersburg. When you're coming in, it says Petersburg welcomes you. That's a good first impression. When we come into town and we walk into a store, or people saying, hey, where are you from? We hope you live here. That's what they want to see. And then they want to see community pride. You know, and that is very, very important. And when they talk about community pride, they're looking at your schools. They're looking at even your gateway signage. You know, the Aneta, right? Aneta Community Orchard, which we thought was fabulous. I mean, I'll get into that. We're looking at your houses. And by the way, I want you to look at these photographs. These photographs should be on every one of your websites. I'd like you to actually reshoot the photographs with people in them. But other than that, just look at these photographs. I mean, Aneta, of all the 42 communities we looked at, Aneta stood out because of that. It stood out. After a while, I forgot now which one had which. I mean, went to all these communities, but Aneta always stood out because you could just feel the community pride there. And they invite people back every third Saturday in June for the turkey barbecue. Was that right? The summer festival, turkey barbecue. And so that meant for us, like Aneta goes, wow, this would be a great place to live. These people really care. So we look at these kinds of things. I mean, that's how we judge you. We're driving through your neighborhoods. But they also are looking for change. They want to see things happening, whether it's a new house being built, whether it's somebody remodeling a building downtown, whatever it is, they want to see physical change. If they don't see change, their perception will be that you're not open to change or that nobody else wants to live there. I mean, so we look for things like medical clinics, all of these kinds of things. One thing I really like about McVille, and am I pronouncing that right? McVille. So when you go to McVille, they put out these white benches, and we saw it, and we went, yeah, that's awesome. And so it just is said, so they're doing something that's positive change. Here, right outside the little salon, her and the guy right there were sitting there painting their bench, you know, and then they were, and so I thought it was cool. People are there doing things. They're making it better. Number 5 on this list is life after 6 o'clock. Yeah. That is a challenge in all of these counties. But it doesn't mean the bar scene. We just want to have life after 6. And I'm going to show you ways to create that. And then number 6, we do want top-notch recreation, you know, that outdoes other competing areas, whether it's sports fields, whether it's playgrounds, whether it is wildlife viewing or duck hunting or whatever. I mean, we saw that at Whitman Dam. That was pretty impressive. You know, bird hunting, photography, you name it. And I got to tell you that of these 4 counties, I thought Nelson was the prettiest by far. The reason is you've got all the terrain changes. You've got it's not just flat farming land. But, you know, when you get the western part of all these counties, a lot of people are judging you by what they see way over on 29. You know, where they just see flat farming land. But once we came out here, we were like blown away. We just thought, man, this place is incredible. So I think you got that one. And then number 7 is quality health care, particularly for kids. So we talked about safety. And when they talk about health care, they're talking about just clean air and water. Farmers markets, local produce and goods, family-oriented services are really important. And number 8, walking, biking trails, pathways, just having school transportation is part of that. But they like walkability. When you do your websites, you should say, here are the things people want, here's where we shine. And you would show these with photos of your communities. You know, they want housing availability, affordability, want quality. They don't want all fix-up homes. They don't expect big homes, but they just want things that are affordable. And that was a huge challenge we found in all 4 counties, is even finding a place you could buy or rent. You know, so it doesn't mean just cheap. And by the way, a lot of people will move into commercial buildings. So if you have a smaller downtown that's never really going to come back, they're even doing live workspace in commercial buildings in downtowns. But that includes starter homes, move-ups, nice neighborhoods, downsizing for people that are a little bit older, you know. And here we go with the commercial buildings, taking anything that's savable and actually allowing it to be residential or live workspace. And then finally, number 10 is jobs. That is the big pivot. Before about 10 years ago, jobs was always number 1. Wherever the jobs were, we went there. And now it's number 10. If you have those other 9, people are going to go, man, I want to live there. How can I make a living? Do I need to commute? What do I need to do to make a living? And so that is where this comes into play. And when I put entrepreneurial opportunities, like specific entrepreneurial opportunities, and that is really important. So now, here we go. Here's our Nelson City experience. And the first thing I want to talk about is myth busting, then about quality of life, and then about how do you tap into tourism and commerce. So this is us secret shopping you. But the first thing I want to do is bust some myths. I have to tell you that North Dakota has I don't need to tell you this, because you know, North Dakota has an image problem. And we've been in all 50 states extensively, but the general perception in North Dakota is there are no trees, particularly this side. Or they will say it's barren, it's flat, it's desolate, or it's a frozen tundra, or it's boring and there's nothing there. And this is research we did by going on the web, the most commonly asked questions about North Dakota. And when you come up 29, this might be what you see, but you can't judge the state from driving in just 30 miles. All of a sudden it changes. And our experience is we had never been north of Grand Forks before this trip. And I got to tell you, when I saw that list, I went, really? Because look at what you have. And these are the kinds of photographs you need to have on your city websites that you need to put out there. I mean, really? I mean, this is Aneta. I mean, look at that. No trees? Really? I mean, I could go through every community. Here's Lakota. I mean, there's trees everywhere. And we just happened to be here during fall color, which nobody would associate with North Dakota, but it was spectacular. You know, I mean, here's McVille. And then, you know, Michigan. I mean, look at, no trees. If people saw these photos and they didn't see what town they were in, I wonder if anybody in the country, if you said, guess which states, we'll give you 10 guesses to guess what state all these photos come from, I'll bet you North Dakota wouldn't even be on their radar. You know, and that's sad. I mean, Stump Lake out there. I mean, trees everywhere. Everywhere we went, there were plenty. So you need to load your websites with rotating photos, Instagram, Facebook, so that we can see what you're really like. Because we were blown away. And you're going to see a lot of these little numbers like that. Those are suggestions. By the way, there's no recommendations in this presentation because I think it would be presumptuous for us to come in from out of town and tell you what you should do without ever talking to you first. So these are just suggestions. Some of these you say, we want to work on those. Let's turn those into recommendations. But I really think you need to do that. I also believe you need to show homes. Get their permission. You need to actually show homes so people say, this looks like a great place to live. We will judge you by your neighborhoods. Showcase your amenities, but we prefer to see the interiors, not a bunch of buildings. So what's that like inside here? I mean, this is right where we're at. And we saw this, and we like say, wow, look at what you got here. I mean, I think the gymnasium right next to us is great. And by the way, even the building looks great here. But you got to show your assets. Always include people enjoying. So it'd be nice to see somebody fly fishing or fishing off of this. Always show people. We relate to other people more than places. So always show people, you know, in these photos. So I would have you just retake these, you know, but a family sitting there would be great. And that's the kind of thing that you need to do. Kids having fun at school. Now, here's my interesting, and by the way, if you take pictures of people at school, let them know what you're doing first. I took a picture here. I took that photo, and instantly a bunch of kids kept running up to the fence going, take my picture, take my picture, take my picture. And I said, no, I just need to get one picture. Sorry, kids. We drove off, and about 20 minutes later, I was getting gas out here on 2, and a county deputy pulls up and says, were you taking pictures at the grade school? I go, yeah. Why were you doing? I'm sure the kids went back and said, there's a guy taking pictures of it. Isn't that cool? And the teachers panicked, or somebody. And so I said, oh, I'm here working with Red River Regional Council. And by the way, they did the right thing. It wasn't negative. They did the right thing. Some guy driving around in a truck is taking pictures of us. They called the sheriff. The deputy came up to me. She was really nice. And she just said, what are you doing? You know, why are you taking pictures? You know, and there was no flashing lights and sirens. I was just pumping gas. And then she had the smarts to actually call the Red River Regional Council and say, do you know who this guy is? And what is he doing? And then they verified why he was here. So they did the right thing. So I took that as a positive. That's a good thing about Lakota. They did that. And so, but after that, I was like really careful to make sure I wasn't taking pictures. We just happened to be there right during recess. But the school looks great. But when back to your websites, Cavalier up in Pembina County did a great job. Create the life you love in Cavalier. And it's visual first. Websites need to be visual first. And so if we do a little side trip here, you know, even now, I got to tell you, and by the way, this is me being 100% honest with you. Lakota's website looks very, very dated. And if you have a website that looks dated, you're not going to attract young people. And so, no offense, you should have a photo for every 50 words. And if you show a picture of downtown without one human being in the picture, we're kind of going, well, nobody's walking around downtown. There doesn't seem to be people in your downtown. There are a few cars there. And by the way, I don't know what it is with cities that we have to put our gateway sign on our homepage. Nobody cares about your gateway sign. Always sell quality of life. City of McVille. Is it McVille or McVille? McVille, right? Okay. I think they did a great job. Home about government departments. It's visual first, but I would load it up with more photos than just that one. But at least they have a nice looking, this looks like a modern website. I would actually add one up there that would say visitors. And that might talk about the dam, the McVille Dam, or talk about other things we could do here. So government departments, residents, you know, they could do that. I think it would be great. But I think it's a great first start. In the case of Aneta, they don't even have a website. Or at least the one that we couldn't find. By the way, 90% of people never go past the first page of search results. And Google will always put city websites #1. But couldn't even find, there was none. And so they should develop a photographic showcase website. You could use Weebly, Wix, WordPress. You could buy templates for $20 and have high school students help you build it. So it doesn't mean you have to go out and spend thousands of dollars. But right now, even for us, we're creating a new Wix site for Destination Development Association. And I think you do that. Your city websites should look like a tourism website. Convince us, #1, it'll build community pride. #2, it'll showcase you in a better way to blow away all these perceptions that people have of you. And it doesn't have to be expensive. You know, Michigan, once again, that looks great. And its website is very similar. I think they use the very same format. But local business history, it'd be great if there's one for visitors. But once again, now that's looking much, much better. Welcome to the official website. They got a community calendar. However, I went on the community calendar and there was really nothing on it. I wouldn't put it there if nothing's going on. And so it was pretty much empty. And it has some photos, you know, the typical small town photos, which are fine. But there was, here, I'd like to see somebody snowshoeing through there. See what I mean? So we went party in the park, 1920, where this was a year ago, and that probably didn't happen due to COVID. But you got to update your website so that it's not a year and a half behind. And so I'm just picking on Michigan a little bit. But once again, I would have photos, not just a welcome to Michigan sign. Photos. Every 50 words should be another photo. And that photo should fill the page. I saw the barn quilt trail. But once again, it looks super, super dated once you got past the home page. You know, if I go out, is it pronounced Pekin? It is? Okay, I want to make sure I get it right, Pekin. They didn't have a website either. We can go to MapQuest, Wikipedia, best places to live in Pekin, which really just like shows homes for sale or businesses for sale, but they should have one too. Petersburg needs a site. I mean, and then look at niche.com. Petersburg got a B+. I mean, I went, wow, that's really cool. I mean, those are things you need to link to because that's a third party talking about your schools. Tolna, it could use a new site. This was probably the most dated of all of them. And by the way, this one's not even mobile friendly. Mobile friendly means that your website will automatically convert over to a mobile format. And if you're not mobile friendly, Google will knock you down in the listings. And so that's really important. But that one's not even, that's how old it is. And then provide photography with people to Rendezvous Region. That's the tourism here. And because I'm going to give you a whole bunch of things you could do to make your communities look better, feel better, and be more livable. But then we need to give those to the state and to the Rendezvous Region so we can load their websites with your photographs. So once again, somebody on a stand, when I was out there, it was like Whitecaps. But having somebody out there on a kayak or getting into a kayak or fishing, anything, activities sell. Here's what people do when they're deciding where to live here. They will go to Google, they will type in Pekin, North Dakota, and they will scroll down Google Images. So they're going to scroll down just like I am. So far, I don't see anything. There's a nice house. There, I see Stump Lake there, right there. Okay, I see that. I'm not seeing a whole lot that's really closing the sale. I mean, you know, I see what's that biggest little art show on the prairie. I'm scrolling down here. I'm not seeing a whole lot, but when you start populating your website with photos, they're going to show up here. Google pulls them off of your websites. And so in this case, I saw a few things that looked nice, but not a whole lot. Nothing that would be a myth buster. So there are no trees, it's barren, flat, desolate, hardly, particularly in this county. I mean, I just think you need to have showcasing your terrain. I thought this was exceptional. Even this, I mean, if I was to send this picture out to everybody I knew, I don't think any of them would have ever guessed that was here. They might guess Western South Dakota, but they wouldn't probably even do North Dakota. I wish there were trail stuff. I know these are probably privately owned lands, but just beautiful, gorgeous. I mean, so it's barren, flat, desolate? Not true. And then finally, it's the frozen tundra. Here's one of my biggest pet peeves with North Dakotans is you need to embrace this. I was at a meeting in Grafton Economic Development, and I said, it has been gorgeous when we've been here. Matter of fact, we've been here for this month, and there were days it was hotter here than in Phoenix, where we live. And I said, this has been fantastic, beautiful weather. And a person on the Grafton City Council says, yeah, but you haven't been here January. We can't even leave our houses for 7 months. I was shocked. But this seems to be a pattern with you. People in North Dakota, every time I say, I love it here, the weather's been absolutely fantastic, that's the common response. But you haven't been here in January. Well, you know, we live down in Phoenix, and people will say, man, they'll come down there this time of year and they'll go, I love this weather. We don't say, but you haven't been here in July. You know what we say? We say, and they say, this weather is fantastic. We say, it's like this for 8 months of the year. The other 4 months, it's pretty hot. And if they say, oh, I heard it's just unbearable, then we say, but it's a dry heat, right? See what I mean? We turn lemons into lemonades. But North Dakotans, everywhere I go, the second you give them a compliment, they come back at you and say, yeah, but you don't know how tough it is here. You don't know what it's like in the winters. And I just think that, sometimes people in North Dakota, particularly this size state, are your own worst enemy. And so, I mean, it's frozen tundra. You know what? We've worked all over Iowa. I don't think your winters are any worse than there. I mean, Jake right here is from Wisconsin. They have to deal with lake effect of snow. Heck, Green Bay is known as the frozen tundra. I mean, I don't think your winters are any worse than anywhere else in the Midwest. And so when it comes to, is it boring? Are you kidding? We saw country clubs everywhere. I mean, this is one of several golf courses. I mean, you have fishing. I can't imagine fishing. Do you have bird hunting? I can't imagine that you have a lot of that. I mean, everywhere we went, I went, this place is fantastic. Stump Lake Village, we thought was just like world class. You need to show the available activities. Look at the Whitecaps that day out on Stump Lake. But I kept thinking, what about the ice fishing? What about the snowshoeing or fat tire biking or anything else? I just thought, how could anybody ever call this place boring? You know, now you may call it boring, but I think showing people out there doing stuff like this is going to be important. And you do need to show all 4 seasons. Don't just sugarcoat and say, here's what it's like in June, July, and August. You know, but I do believe you need to do that. Promote our top 5 water trails. We're out here in the county trying to figure out, we have kayaks. And we kept going, which lake would be best for kayaking? You know, that would have a scenic shore. We might see deer or whatever on the shoreline. I mean, we want to know, where's the best place to go stand up paddle boarding? We'd love to see you start promoting. We're going to have the Rendezvous region start promoting our top 3 water trails for kayaking or fishing. And some lakes might be known for perch, some might be known for bass, some might be known for walleye. But man, I don't know how anybody could say that life in Nelson County particularly is boring. It's not. And there's tons here to do. So here's the point. We could have spent a good week in just this little county without ever running out of stuff to do. And that's what drives me crazy, because look at this. All these states have nothing over North Dakota. We've been here for a month, and granted, we haven't been here in January, but you had enough in the time we were here to say this is an amazing place that blows us away. So what you have to do is get these photographs on your websites. Google will pick them up. All of a sudden, people see a different picture of North Dakota than their preconceived notions, particularly Northeast North Dakota. But influencer is going to be really, really important. These are third parties singing your praises. And so you can find a local personality that can create short videos. It might be a millennial, a young Gen Xer. And I want to show you a little video. This is a girl who is in her late 20s. Her name is Gabriella Viola. And she doesn't work for tourism there. She's just a photographer. And she lives in Lake Tahoe. But nobody goes to Lake Tahoe in the winter except to ski. It's a huge ski area. So she did this little video. Well, let's just take a look.
In this video, I'm going to be sharing 10 awesome things to do in Lake Tahoe in the winter besides skiing. What's up, guys? I'm Gabriella. For those of you who don't know me, I am an outdoor photographer currently living in beautiful Lake Tahoe. I make videos on mostly Lake Tahoe, so if that's something you're interested in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when a new video is up. Alright, so with that being said, I'm just going to get straight into the video. Here are 10 awesome things to do in Lake Tahoe in the winter besides skiing. Here we go.
Number 1 is paddleboarding. It might sound surprising, but the winter months bring about glassy conditions due to less people and less boats on the lake, making it an ideal time for paddleboarding and kayaking. Number 2 is Chickadee Ridge. Located off Mount Rose Highway, you don't have to hike very far for these friendly chickadees to fly right up to you. Number 3 is Monkey Rock. The hike to Monkey Rock is beautiful any time of year, but the views are extra special with a little bit of snow. Number 4 is snow sledding. 2 places that I would recommend for sledding that also happen to be free are Spooner Junction and right across the street from Emerald Bay. Number 5 is Emerald Bay. Emerald Bay truly looks like a winter wonderland when it's covered in snow. Added bonus, there's a hill for sledding right across the road. Number 6 is ice skating. South Lake Tahoe has Heavenly Village, and if you're in North Lake Tahoe, you can ice skate at North Star, Squaw Valley, or Tahoe City's Winter Sports Park. Number 7 is Sand Harbor. Sand Harbor is one of the busiest beaches in Lake Tahoe during the summer months. But in the winter, the crowds are gone and you will have this beautiful spot all to yourself. Number 8 is Heavenly Village. Heavenly Village in South Lake Tahoe has something for everyone, including shopping, bars, restaurants, and ice skating. And there's lots of fun, cozy Christmas vibes if you visit during the holidays. Number 9 is Cave Rock. Cave Rock is a short hike with stunning 180-degree views over Lake Tahoe. If you're in South Lake Tahoe, definitely add this spot to your list. Number 10 is Hidden Beach. Just north of Sand Harbor is Hidden Beach. Framed by snow-capped mountains, Hidden Beach has rocky alcoves and beautiful turquoise water. This also happens to be one of my favorite beaches on the East Shore. I wanted to throw in one bonus activity, and a great one would be taking a hot springs day trip. The Eastern Sierra is home to numerous hot springs. If you venture about 2 hours south from Lake Tahoe on the 395, you'll find some beautiful hot springs.
Alright, so those were 10 awesome things to do in Lake Tahoe in the winter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you plan on doing any of the things that I listed in the video, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got for you guys today. So I will see you in the next video.
So what's interesting about that, rather than run away from winter, can you imagine the top 3 things to do in this area in the winter or in the spring or in the fall? I mean, I didn't see anybody promoting your fall color. There were so many things that I thought that you should be promoting. But even you could get a hold of Gabriella and say, hey, would you come to Northeast North Dakota? But I think you have people here. The talent is here. She does these all herself. And thousands of people have gone there just to feed the chickadees where they're laying in your hand. It's amazing. But that's what we're talking about. So now, we're going to talk about your communities. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is quality of life. What was our impression? What did we see? And so I want you to see these. And I'm going to go right through them, alphabetical. Aneta. So we went to Aneta. The first thing is it needs a way better gateway sign. The community is way better than the signs portray. I thought the sign, it was hard to read. It's the left side there needs paint. I know it's supposed to be a barn quilt, but I just thought this town needs a better gateway than that, considering how great it is. Even if we go up north, even a sign like that in Crystal would be really good for Aneta. You know, I just thought something just a little better than that. So that was our first impression. When we saw the gateway signs, we're going, uh-oh, not one of these. And then we're like, wait a second, where did that come from? And I mean, that just vaulted us. I mean, these are probably volunteers doing that, right? I mean, amazing first impression, just amazing. It slowed us down drastically because we want to take, and we took a second look. And you could even see the flowers up here in the park. I mean, you see all the trees. I mean, everything, it just went, whoa, wait a second. Even these corners like this, although there's the big turkey right there. Or even right here when we saw this, you know, the sign to the health center, but all of the beautification, it just vaulted us to the very top. This is what you have to understand. People are going to judge you by the cover. We judge the book by the cover, and it's true. You know, because there's lots of choices. I mean, the healthcare center looked amazing. They had fall flags out. The fact that you had this and the flowers out there were the 2 things that put Aneta at the top of our list of all 4 counties. This community garden is better than I've seen in most urban areas. What's interesting, there was a guy there that had his own corn, and he said, well, some of this is community garden. You can help yourself. I said, we're just visitors looking. He goes, but this is community. And then each household can also have their garden in there, which I thought was just amazing. Everything's labeled. There's bird houses in there. I mean, it was just beautiful. I mean, we were just blown away. There he is. He was taking down the corn because he said that we had a drought this year. And so he's taking down the corn stalks, was going to have it all baled up. And he was telling us about it, but just a nice guy that lives there. And we were just blown away. It was the only community garden we saw in all 40 gardens. I'd put that right there on Aneta's website, that we have a community garden. We all share in it, and I thought it was amazing. I mean, the playgrounds, the play equipment were also exceptional. See, these are all the things that we look at for quality of life. So and we're just like anybody else, secret shopping, you driving around, trying to explore the area, you know, and even if I was working in Grand Forks, we looked at the price of housing in Grand Forks, and our first thing is, where could we live within a 45-mile drive of Grand Forks? and get this kind of a quality of life. And I don't know how far Aneta is from Grand Forks, but these are the things that sell you. And these are the kinds of photographs you need to have. And, you know, I mean, that's just darling. So it doesn't always have to be grandiose houses. You know, this looks like a great community center. You know, I'd love to see a little reader board that has upcoming events. If there's something that happens there once a month, always put your upcoming events. It's an invitation for us to come back, and it also lets us know that things are happening, in this case in Aneta. You know, add a reader board here at the pavilion, once again, you know, and I don't know whether that's an ice rink or whether it's mixed use or whether it's 4-H, I don't know. But once again, if there was a reader board there that says we host all kinds of these kinds of events there, it's another invitation that says things are happening here. We hope you'll come back and visit us. You know, and once again, I wish other communities did this, where they're saying, you know, third Saturday in June, come back. And if we're here next summer, I would make a point of making sure we are here so we could do that in Aneta. So that was our first impression of Aneta. Lakota. Just going right down the list here. First of all, great gateway sign. I love it. I think it's really beautiful. It's in a nice location. You know, Bathgate didn't even have a gateway sign when oh, that's up north of you, so I don't need to worry about them. But love that. I thought that was fantastic. I just think it's great. I almost wish this ambulance, I get this ambulance and that ambulance. I was going, where would I stand to do a selfie? Probably over there, but people are looking for selfie spots. I thought that was great. And you're the only community I saw that's doing something like that. I thought it was excellent. You know, I would love to see some pots or planters there just to kind of dress up where the gravel is, just right there. So it's like the ambulance in the picture is you know, right behind the flower pots. You know, we did see a Good Samaritan, which we saw in many communities around. Looks nice. We looked at homes. The homes look great in Lakota. I mean, look at the beautification. And it was great being here this time of year where we could see where they put out the pumpkins, the fall color, the mums. I mean, look at that. It looks fabulous. It looks like a great place to live. When we see people's houses that are well maintained, then all of a sudden it says, these people care, they love being here. I mean, isn't that cute? And we judge you by that. And so Lakota got a big thumbs up from us. Now, this is really, really some beautiful homes in Lakota. And so I took that picture, I took this picture, and then I noticed a lady following me around. It happened to me twice. She followed me around and everything. Finally, we were pulling over to take a picture of the church, which I'm going to show you next. She got out of her car and went up to us and says, can you tell me why you're taking pictures of my house? I'm going, oh my God, you have such a beautiful home. I just wanted to take a picture. I've loved it. But so I thought, okay, I don't know whether the people in Lakota are really suspicious after the grade school incidents. Are they just really suspicious of anybody taking a picture of anything? You know, and she was nice. She wasn't mean at all. She was nice. I just said, I thought you had a beautiful house. And I think she's the owner of this house or else it was the next, or else this one. I can't remember which one. But there were several beautiful houses, and they're just gorgeous. But even the little houses, and I got to tell you, this is the prettiest church we saw anywhere. I mean, I just thought it was beautiful. Now let's see. That's a Catholic church, right? Is that right? Oh, it's a private residence. Oh, okay. Well, it's beautiful. And I'm glad to see a church got reused for that. But I just thought it was stunning. And that's a great use. The school looked good. You know, it was well maintained. And this is how we decide whether. And then once we decide, then we'll dig in further to see how it ranks. You know, we'll go to a place like niche.com. But here's the pool. Got the pool there. That looked good. They were just draining it when we were there. The picnic shelters look really great. And once again, if you had people in these photos, it would just show a great quality of life. By the way, in your photos, don't fill it full of seniors, people our age. Put people in there that are young families. Because that's another challenge you have is that you do have somewhat of an aging population, but they need to see young people because that's who you're trying to attract. So Centennial Park, saw that. I'm getting phone calls from a 701 area code. So Centennial Park looked really great. There's the grade school picture I showed you earlier. I just took the one. And then, you know, it's checking all the boxes. What residents look for? Child care. We're looking at schools. Remember that list. And so Lakota, so far we got 2 for 2. We're looking really good. McVille, you know, population 300. Welcome to McVille. Small enough to know you, large enough to serve you. I thought that was fine. I think that's great, you know, and sounds, yeah, that's great. Saw the gateway signs there. Looks okay. So far, so good. Saw the water tower. Everybody has water towers. I think Minto up north probably has my second favorite, but my favorite one is in Grand Forks. You know, the smiley blinking face. I mean, that just makes you smile every time you drive there. You know, for you're going, oh, brother, quit blinking at me, right? But really great. Hospital looks good. I mean, you have health facilities there. That's great. Houses. Now we're looking at the homes. These are great. I mean, it just looks really, really nice. You know, I didn't have this much luck in the other counties, by the way, as I did in Nelson County. And you're the most rural of them all, of these 4. But even right there, the Dakota Prairie School looked very nice. Just great first impressions. But these are things that people are looking for. They're looking at. And that's why you need to load your websites with these. And by the way, I'm going to give you all these photos. These are all going to go to the regional council. And you say, we want those. And then over time, I hope you'll replace them and put people in front of them. I think, is this senior living?
Assisted living.
It's assisted living. Okay. There was no signs or anything, which is probably fine. But it looked, once again, it looked very nice. You can age in place here, which is a good thing. And I'm not sure, is this... That's a care center, okay. But even if you put such and such, and there's no signs or anything out there, just to know that if people move here and they want to retire, they can age in place in the same community. A nice ball field, you know, good bleacher stands, it's got the pits there, everything. And then we saw, that's one of the most unique RVs I think I've ever seen. You know, every once in a while you'll run into something, but you know what? We didn't see it as sometimes if we see 3 or 4 bad things, it can counteract 10 good things. This didn't do that. I just thought, well, that's it. Shouldn't even have a deck on the back. But, you know, I just thought it was fascinating. I mean, I think this, I don't know if this is permanent living or if it's actually a hotel or motel. It is a hotel. Okay. But once again, it said the McVille Lodge. And it's got, you know, apartments. It wasn't very clear whether it was an apartment complex or whether it was really still a motel. But it looked halfway decent. City offices looked good. Loved the benches. Just overall, quality of life, yeah, thumbs up. I think this is that the library? Yeah, and I think that even looked really good. Now, these are little things that we notice, like, I don't know what happened there, but it's not enough to counteract it. But you have to understand, we see things that you just would go by every day. So those are the little things I'm trying to point out to you. When you go home, you might look at your community through different eyes now. And that's what I want you to do. I would love to see him paint that piece of concrete there. Just paint it with some cool designs or something. Make it artistic. Your communities need to have some fun. And one thing that just drives me crazy is in your downtowns, why is everything beige, brown, and gray? If you would just, it's like lighten up a little bit, get some color. You know, I like to see some blues and yellows and reds. I mean, just, you know, be more vibrant. Then Michigan, moving to Michigan, quality of life still. You know, great sign, gas, food, bar, ATM, bait, camping, golf, that's great. Fantastic. When we got there, I wasn't sure that you really had all those things in Michigan, but it's still a great sign, and it's welcoming, and it's visitor-oriented. I think that's even great. Looks good. First impression. Love all the barn quilts. But there was a barn quilt trail right there, a sign for it, but we couldn't figure out where you find the trail. We couldn't find any information or a map or anything. I don't know where it is. There is a www down there, nelsoncounty.org, and I can't remember if we looked for it there or not. Now, one thing about barn quilts, they are not going to make somebody live there, but at least people will see them. They might photograph them. At least it's something that differentiates you and the whole county. You know, here, once again, it's just that everything is beige, just everything. But even buildings like this, I just go, that is so, there's nothing to soften the look of it. So you might want to add trompe l'oeil, and I'm going to explain that in a few minutes here. And I have no idea what rustic flea is. It looks like it's been out of business for years. Is it in business? Yeah. How would you know? Look at the sign. The paint is literally falling off the sign. And secondly, what is it?
Antique store.
Antiques. So for everybody, and I'm not just picking on them, for everybody, they should put up there antiques and then rustic flea in smaller letters. Because we don't know what it is. Most people are not going to go in and find out. They're not going to go, well, let's go figure out what it is. Because I didn't know whether it was a pet grooming shop, you know, the rustic flea, or whether it was a flea market. I don't know what it is. And so that's one thing. But once again, there's a statistic I'm going to give you right now. 70% of first-time sales comes from curb appeal. 70%. So that didn't really make us want to go in. I could see the doors open there, but I didn't know whether they were really open or closed. There's a couple cars there, but I'm not too sure. But our main thing is we didn't have any clue what it was. And I'm going to tell you about trompe l'oeil in a minute because you saw that building that was just kind of boring. Veterans Memorial in Michigan looked great. Church looked great right here. You know, and so, I mean, these are us looking at quality of life. You know, we see even some of the homes, some of the churches had I thought that was cool with the barn quilt and the cross. And then some of the homes, even some of the homes had barn quilts on. I thought that was really, really cool. Very nice. Really cute. That's a beautiful home tucked right back there in the trees. And with a fall color, it was like, oh my gosh, look at this place. Once again, the playground equipment. I mean, these are all those things we look at. You know, there's a town I was in, and I can't remember which one, because I believe the school is no longer operating. Is that right? Okay. We have seen in communities, and I can't remember which community, which county it was in, but one of your communities has taken these and they give them to a developer and they turn them into condominiums or apartments. So they actually repurpose them. And so I hope you'll do that. One school that was in, I think, Walsh County actually got turned into a house, and it was way smaller than this one. But I just thought this would be a good opportunity. Another opportunity for this would be Art Space. Art Space is based out of Minneapolis. They work public-private partnerships. They're a nonprofit to take buildings like this. They end up owning them. Then they convert them into artisan live-work space. But that or condominiums, there's a huge shortage of housing. I thought you could do, this might be a really great condo project. I have no idea what condition it's in, but I just thought there's some opportunities there. And then, oh yeah, this was in Gilby. There you go, that's where I saw it. So there you go right there, where they turned this previous school into apartments, 1- and 2-bedroom units. So that might be an idea of something to do, to give you some housing if people want to live there. Then in Pekin, you know, population just 65. Nice sign. Once again, next 3 exits. I thought, wow, this must be a real metropolitan city. And then we did see the regular sign, welcome to Pekin. I think that's good. Well, the American Legion, that's great. The flags are great. One thing we love about the county is there was American flags everywhere. And for a lot of us, we're glad to see a place that actually appreciates America from what you see and hear on the news every day. And so that was really nice. We thought that very highly of it. See, there's commerce there. No problem. We've got great picnic shelters. I mean, they're just beautiful. And so if you can imagine people in these, you know, like right here, now that's a little, yeah, that's just a picnic shelter. But it would be great if we saw like kids playing out there in the lawn in front of it, you know. But overall, so far, our Nelson County experience has been exceptional. We just thought it was fantastic. I mean, there's not been one community that was a letdown. We still got a few to go, but you can just see. I mean, these are just quick snapshots we took. You know, and you need to get, I mean, I could just see people walking in or out of church, coming down the steps, and that would be on your websites. And that's what you need to show. So, you know, community center looks good. However, this could really use some paint, and there was really nothing in there that was up to date. So just use that reader board. You got one there. And I think that would be fantastic. City Hall looked good. And so overall, you know, I would promote this in an RV guide, pet hotels. And because there are, well, I'm going to get more into RVs. RVs is the fastest growing trend in tourism, and they want the rural areas. They sold 500,000 units last year. They expect to sell 600,000 this year, and it's been growing 10 years. There are 2 million people living in them full time. And by the way, we RV'd here. So we left where we live in April. We have not been back, and we're in 31 states on this trip. And so, but 80% of RVers have pets, and 85% of millennials. They're the biggest generation in U.S. history of owning pets. So if they ever have to travel, the fact that you have a pet hotel is something you can market. So Petersburg, quality of life still. We're still talking about quality of life. Great sign, good location, welcomes you. And then we come back in, and there's the community center. Great sign, once again, and cafe. We never saw when that cafe, if it's ever open. So there should be always hours posted, or days. I'm not sure when or if it's ever open, or if it's only open during community events. There was no signage and the door was locked. So always invite us back. The Prairie High School looked good. We saw that. Moving on, we started looking at houses. That's beautiful. Look at the landscaping. These are the kinds of things that people go, I don't want to live in a place like that. Look at that. That's stunning. I think it's just phenomenal. But then, all of a sudden, you run into stuff like this. And I would imagine that this is long gone and is no longer a curling club. Am I right? Yeah. And so this could be sold for barnwood, or maybe it could be repaired. The roof looked like it was pretty much intact. But now we're starting to see community assets. These, you need it. When we looked at the backside, we went, okay, well, you know what? You got it. I would sell it for barnwood and give the property owner, I don't know if the city owns it, who owns it, but I would either sell it or I would start demolishing it. Sometimes we need redevelopment. And we even suggest the county have a redevelopment authority where they can go in and purchase pieces like this and then get rid of the blight and then flip them back over onto the tax rolls for residential development. Because when we start seeing a number of these in one town, all of a sudden our whole opinion of that town started to go down really quickly. Remember, for every 10 good things, it only takes one bad thing to erase those 10. And so that was like, that's actually could be so you might have to go to eminent domain where you have to condemn buildings. And by the way, when you do this, you're still paying for it. You still have to buy it at its assessed value. But that could be, it could be a fire risk, it could be a safety risk, it could be a health risk. I mean, people want to see positive change. And if it doesn't look like anything's ever changing in this town, they're going to go, no, let's go somewhere where there's positive change. So we saw some good things, and then all of a sudden, we're starting to see these. You know, this is what we're starting to see, and we're starting to have second thoughts about whether this is a town we'd want to live in. And I got to tell you, the negative way outweighed the positive. And I feel sorry for the people with the nice homes, the nice churches, the schools there, because what happens is this just starts to overshadow it automatically. And that was really sad to see. And so this means we got to go in there and do some practice burns. That's where you get permission from the property owner, and then you have fire department will actually burn it down as a practice burn. It's a controlled burn. And then all of a sudden you have a piece of property that's ready for redevelopment. The same with getting rid of cars, abatement ordinances. So if they want to see growth there, I think they really got to start cleaning the town up. And then finally, Tolna, I think it's the last one alphabetically for quality of life. Good sign, escape the city, Tolna, and I can't see something down there, but it's been overgrown by the shrubbery, but still a pretty decent sign. It could use a pressure washing, which would be nice. And then, by the way, we saw, no, not right there, there it is. Somewhere down here, we're looking for a historic attraction. There's a sign somewhere that says there's a historic attraction here. We never could find it. But once again, for good first impressions, nice ball fields, nice homes, you know, so far so good. You know, we're seeing this, it's American Legion. Oh no, it's Veterans. Well, it probably is American Legion, right? Looks very nice. City Park looks great. I always think you could be more creative than just City Park. You know, you could come up with a nice name for it. But good playground equipment, just a good first impression. But then, ouch. Now, in the case of Tolna, this was like just one place. So luckily it wasn't spread all over. So that right there, I'd go, okay, let's work with the property owner on it. Maybe we can get a scrap metal shop to come out here and get rid of that. And if they buy any of it, that goes to the property owner. But you have to, these towns have to start cleaning things up if you want to see growth, if you want new people to move there. So now, when it comes to quality of life, remember one of those statistics was about life after 6 o'clock? We think every downtown should have a little plaza. It could be half the size of this room. Just a place in your downtown. And this works for any town over like 100 people. And the primary ingredient is programming. And I'm going to show you how to do this. It could be a space where this space where they are is about the size of this room. It's just a place in your downtown where people can go hang out. I know you have parks, but we want plazas. And we consider that a community living room. And this is huge because this is where we go after work and on weekends. And you can do it year round. So think about activities you would have at home, inviting people to show movies. So could we show movies, project them on a wall downtown? Do we have games, board games, those kinds of things? What can we do downtown like we do at home? And you might say every couple weeks we're going to change it. And you might do, this is called Imagination Playground where the little girl is. It's like Lincoln Lodge but with foam. And you could say, we're going to put that out for 2 weeks during spring break, then we're going to put out 2 weeks during the summer. So you might have 13 different sets of things that you change out. And I'm going to show you some ideas. I mean, even these big chess sets, this here, they took parking spaces on the side of the street and they programmed with activities. You can go on Amazon and buy these Jenga blocks for $79. So you can even get people to sponsor them. So an ag company, a local bank, an attorney, a real estate firm may say, we're going to sponsor the Jenga blocks and foosball tables. And you do have to have a place to store them. But the whole idea is to have a place in your downtown, pretty centered in your downtown, where that you can have people come and hang out. You know, and even in the winter, doing things like this, you know, and we might not be doing that when it's 40 below zero, but you know what? I've seen them do it in Iowa when it's 20 below zero. And so doing places like this where people can just hang out and you just switch it out depending on the time of year, just like you would at home. You know, even things like this where you just put out tables and chairs and you show games on a wall, your projector, you do chili cook-offs or you do just barbecues. Just anything, and I'm going to show you how you can buy these tables and chairs for hardly any money. But people want to see that there's something to do when we're done with work at the end of the day and on weekends. So here's the clues to this, and I'm going to show you the things you can put on it. Change it up every 2 weeks. So that means there'll be 26 changes, but you might have 13 different sets to do that. And consider weather and seasons. Obviously, you can mix and match. You could add security cameras there. You get volunteers to assist you with it, and you keep it well lit with soft lighting, like you saw with that one picture with all the tables and chairs that had the string lighting over it. But look at this. This is Overstock.com, 4 chairs and a table for $162. And if you buy the umbrella, we're still at under $200. So let's say you get somebody to spend $1,000 and you give them a sandwich board that says the plaza is sponsored by such and such bank. So it doesn't mean you even have to have the money. These are sponsored activities. So there you go. And you could even ring your plaza with just like mobile, these little planners, just to keep cars out if you're using an empty parking lot or an empty space downtown. And there's lots of videos. You're all going to have access to the Destination Development Association. And in there's all kinds of videos that tell you how to do this, how to activate your downtown. And this works for any town of like 100 people or more. You know, can you imagine doing that? I mean, look at this whole thing. You could do 6 of those 4 to score on the left side there, and they're $200 a piece. And you could do 6 giant Jenga sets at $70 each. Total investment would be $1,200. I'm just showing you wild ideas, and I'm not going to go through all of them. There's those big chess sets. They're about $750 a piece. You can do, in downtown New York City, they have ping pong tables and foosball tables, and they're even out there in the winter. I mean, it's amazing. So these are all the kinds of activities you could bring in. Look at hula hoops. Who would have thought of that? And so these are spun chairs. Those things are so cool. Need a pretty good space for those things because you can really swing around in them. But all these are just like musical instruments. Can you imagine having a square where you just have music? No, they could stay out there year round. You know, there it is. Mallets and everything for playing these pipes and everything that they have. You could even get some of these little tents and then have local artisans or like a little farmer's markets always there, and you just provide them a space. So this works at the holidays, Thanksgiving, during the summer months. I mean, look at that. That's a portable skate park even that you could put there. And things like cornhole tosses. And there's your fire pits. I mean, I'm just giving you badminton. Just give people a place to hang out. In Canmore, Alberta, which is up in Alberta, right at the base of the Rocky Mountains, they have this exercise equipment outside year-round. And in the winter, they're all dressed in ski gear using the exercise equipment. But these are just things you could do. There's those tables and chairs. You know, and it just goes on. And there's Imagination Playground. I love Imagination Playground. And they store in these big bins. So at the end of each day, you have volunteers just do that. You know, just bring this up. Now, I can't remember. Okay, what town do I have here? Nelson County, Main Street. Which town is this, you guys? Dusty Rose Bar and Grill. Oh, it's Lakota. It's right here. Okay. So this is Lakota. And I want to give you an example. I saw that space right there between buildings. And I kept going, wouldn't it be cool if each side was a restaurant and it opened up on that? Somebody probably owns that. But you know, you could do a temporary plaza there and say, if it's privately owned, you say, can we lease it to you? The city might say, can we lease it from you for $1 a month? And if you're going to develop something there, and it would fall under the city's umbrella insurance, and then if you're going to develop, just give us 90 days notice and we'll clear our stuff off of it. I mean, I would have paver stones instead of asphalt there. Paver stones are nice because water and everything go through it. But I kept thinking, what can we do there? I thought, what if we turn that into paver stones, just like you see there? We just put all paver stones in there. It costs about $11 a square foot to do that. And then what if we put a fence right there by the water tower, just to kind of keep kids and stuff from trying to climb on the water tower. That's what that purple line is. And maybe we'd fence the back alley. We might have a gate somewhere in there so we have back alley access to it, but we just don't want kids running out in that traffic. And then we could put street trees there. We might even put planters under the street trees. And then we could add another tree right there and maybe a few more trees right there. So now we've got some shade in the summer. You can light them up in the winter. Let's put a stage right there. And that stage would be great it's facing west, you always want the sun in the evenings to shine into the stage, not onto the people watching something on the stage. And then I thought, man, if we put those yellow things are those Catalina umbrellas, you know, they're like 9, 10 feet across. So that's 4 tables and chairs, or those are a table and 4 chairs around under each one of those. And wouldn't it be cool if there was a restaurant up in there, or on one side, they could open up the sides right onto the plaza. So we might put all this seating there. And then what we could do is we could even bring in some vendors. That's what all those little white booths are. So you could say, yeah, we're going to have some vendors come in here. And you could program this however you want. It's just an empty space, just like this room. And then you just do whatever you want on it. I mean, you could do music, you could do shows, you could do baking, you could just have it full of tables and chairs. Wouldn't that be cool if that's a restaurant? I don't even know what's in there right now. Wouldn't it be cool if that was a restaurant? They both opened up onto the plaza. But here's the point. Creating a little place just for local people to come out. And I always think it should be in the heart of your spending district. Where people hang out, retail follows. All of you have vacancies in your downtown. And so I kept thinking, wherever people hang out, retail follows. If they're hanging out at a park out there, it doesn't do downtown any good. And you know what? Your commercial core, these buildings, that's a big part of your tax base. By doing this, you increase the value of those buildings, and you'll have more desirable tenants in. I don't know what's in there now. And I just kept thinking, this is a great way to really make a little downtown shine. If you went to buy everything I showed you, all of those slides full of all of that stuff, if you went to get all of that, all of it, every single bit of it, the cost would be $76,000. But you probably only need a quarter of it. So now we're at, you know, we're at 20,000 base, less than 20,000. And then you could have sponsors do it. So this doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And right now there are a ton of, and then you might get sandwich boards. So if certain sets are sponsored, you could say this was sponsored by the school or hospital or anything, anybody. And I just say there are lots of grants for this right now out there. And that is really critical. So that is quality of life. Now, I want to run through your communities for tourism. What would get us to come here in the first place? And starting in Aneta, you got the Aneta Dam. Now, one thing that is a problem with these, first of all, quit calling them dams. We go to Devil's Lake. A dam is an earthwork that holds water back. It's not an experience. I don't want to go to a dam. I want to go to a lake. So I call it Lake Aneta or Aneta Lake. I mean, we go to Devil's Lake. We don't call it Devil's Dam. Damn devil. Or, you know what I mean? I would just get out of that mindset that we don't care about the dam, we care about the lake. So I would call it, and I would also put the distance. And I can't remember this one if we actually found it. One of these we had a really hard time finding because we kept going down dirt roads over and over and over and we never could find it. Now, is this it? Is this it? It's not it. We never found it. I don't think we ever found Aneta Dam. I don't know where it is because there's no distance on those signs. So it should say Aneta Dam 5 miles, 10 miles. I don't know where it is. We did see this and we thought this was it. But I don't even know what this is. But we took a picture of it, and I kept going, wow, what would this be known for? It's big. It's both sides of the road. We thought that was it. You know, here's another one when it comes to tourism. I don't know if this is somebody's private collection or whether this is a museum. There's no signs. There's no information. But even interpretive sign, if it's about how people used to live, you know, how old the log cabin is, or even information about the tractors. I have no clue. There's no information. And then, you know, beautiful building. I don't know, is this still being used? Does anybody know in Aneta? It's beautiful, whatever it is. I thought it should be a house, it could be whatever, but it says auditorium, and we didn't know. But some of the windows are boarded up, some aren't. So we just didn't know. Lakota for tourism. You know, we see Stump Lake Park, 12 miles south. That's great. It tells you where it's at. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? So we know how far it is away. It's good to know that you have an RV store here. There should be an RV guide. You're going to see that at the end of this presentation, there's an RV guide. They would be in it. So that was great knowing that you had this here. And then I would add signs. There's a little like an RV park. Is that open to the public or is it somebody's private park for harvest? Anybody know? It's open to the public. There's no signs. There's no information. We don't know where to even go. So if it is open to the public, Lakota would be a great place to come camping, but we don't know where you go. If you go to a city website, there's no information. And here, the library looks fantastic. And it says library and museum, but is the museum open, or is it just in the library when the library is open?
It's in the library when the library is open.
Okay, but we never really could figure out if they're open, closed. Sometimes museums are closed, but the library is open. And so we could use some more clarification for that. Lakota Golf Course looked nice. Went and saw that. But here's my question. So Lakota Golf Course, is it open for public play? It is? Okay, there's no sign. Do they have a pro shop where they sell, balls, clubs, things like that? Okay. And do they rent golf club or carts? Do they rent carts and rentals? There's no signage of anything. So it needs to put a sign there that says open for public play. Is it 9 or 18 holes? 9. So he says open for public play, 9 holes. We have cart and club rentals, pro shop. Do they sell food there?
Yes.
How would you know? There's no signs. So these are all little inexpensive things that you could do to increase your sales in these businesses or in these great assets. McVille. So there we go, another country club, looks very nice. Once again, same thing, no signs. Is it open for public play? Once again, nothing. It's just there, and you don't know whether those are private or whether they're for rent. There's no clue. And it even looks like behind it, maybe they do patio dining in the summer, and we got there after the summer was over. But once again, there's no information. I assume if they had that there, they must sell some kind of food. But without signage, how is anybody going to know? And we're not always going to go on. And by the way, we went to some of these websites and still didn't tell you. It'll tell you how many holes you have, but that's about it. McVille Dam we thought was beautiful. Really great. I love this right here. And I love seeing people playing disc golf right here while they're being attacked by an Army helicopter. But anyway, I thought it was really great. I thought that was pretty cool. Great entrance. I love seeing those are things you should promote, that you have the disc golf course there. But love the Veterans Memorial there. Thought it was great right there. And once again, this is a really nice RV park. Remember, we're RVers. But we didn't know anything about it because you got to get these things listed on RV sites. And so there is this video there that you can watch that will tell you how to get onto them. But if I go to Campendium, there's Manichac Dam, Michigan City Park, Fordville Dam. If I start going to all of these, a lot of them aren't listed. There's no photos, there's no anything. And Campendium, All Stays, Good Sam are the top 3 sites to get them listed, and it's free. It's free. And so that is something you need to do if you want to use those RV sites. And us in RVers, we want to be out here in this area. We don't want to be in downtown Grand Forks or Fargo. So Michigan, tourism. There's the Duffers Club. Once again, the same thing again. I have no clue whether you're open to the public, what you got to offer. One thing we noticed when we were there is they were adding trees out in the golf course, which I thought was good. Once again, we're looking for positive change. So we saw them, the landscapers were out there, and they were out there digging the holes to put these trees out there, I think probably to more clearly define the greens or the fairways. And so I thought that was very nice. But once again, it looks really nice, but no signage tells us whether it's open for public play, what the seasons are, nothing. No information. And then, is this an RV park? It's right next to the golf course. Looks like some RV spaces, but I'm not sure if it is or not. And once again, there's no signs. Jane's there trying to figure it out because it looked like there was power and water to several sites, but No clue. So these are things, this is not rocket science. Here are we in Lakota? Oh yeah, we're in McVille. Okay, right here in McVille. Oh, Michigan, I'm sorry. Senior moment. In Michigan, historic site 3 blocks ahead. We never could find any historic site anywhere in Michigan. Is there one?
Yeah, it's in the Petersburg. It's the train crash memorial.
Okay, so we're here. We see that. Oh, and we drove down to the railroad tracks. We counted the blocks over and over and over. We got to the railroad tracks. It was 3 blocks. Couldn't find anything anywhere.
Yeah, it's in the Petersburg, which is right on the other side of the railroad track.
Is that where the little the Veterans Memorial is, it looks like?
It's a memorial.
Okay, see, we had no clue that was it. Okay, and that, by the way, is like 4 blocks if you go that extra block. Anyway, you might just double check that because we tried it over and over and over trying to find it. Pekin, add signage, get listed. Here's another RV park. You've got them all over the place. Most of them aren't listed at all, and I think there's just a great opportunity. This here, is this open to the public? It says it's Pekin Auditorium, but then it says something about community for the, let's see, something of the Nelson County Arts Community. So it had all this art outside, and I didn't know whether it's sold art or is this just an empty building like this one that you just use for events. Is that the case? It's just events. Okay. We saw all the art there, and I went, wow. And it talks about the arts community, so we thought, and it had a chair out there, and I thought, well, maybe there's some retail, but it was locked, and there's no signs. And so, you know, I would get TripAdvisor reviews, claim your Google listing. This is the hotel there, Pekin Lodge. One thing that's a real problem that you need to work on, almost 100% of your businesses do not even claim their Google listing. We've eaten at restaurants that Google listing said we're permanently closed because they never claimed their listing and it's free. The other thing is, like this hotel, it has some reviews on TripAdvisor, but they never respond to the views. Somebody had a negative experience. They're not saying, we're really sorry you had a bad experience. That's something we fixed, whatever it was. There's no reviews at all. What that tells a visitor, TripAdvisor is the most used lodging website in the world. And we take the reviews seriously, and if the owners don't ever respond to a negative review, we assume they don't care. And so that could be kind of a problem. Okay? You know, here's Pekin Lodge. It says down here, contact this property and rates for availability. Down below, it'll say, but it tells their address and everything, but it doesn't give you any information. And then down here it says, we recently stayed at Pekin Lodge House for a week and absolutely loved the quiet, private environment in the small town. Chris was an incredible host. He communicated with us extremely well. You should say, thank you so much. We're glad you enjoyed your stay, as a form of welcome. But then you can see 5%, which I think they only have like how many reviews, I can't remember. But once again, you've got to respond to your reviews. Okay, Stump Lake. Heading down to Stump Lake, I put this one kind of separate. We saw this, home of the one-room country schools. I thought it was awesome. No information whatsoever. No interpretive signage, nothing. It's just a bunch of buildings. And I thought it would be really cool if there was a sign in front of them that talked about where it came from, when it was used. You might even talk about what it's like going to school in the winter back when these were in use. Did they go by horse and buggy? I mean, what was it like when it was 20 below? Would the teacher get there at 5 in the morning to be able to room up warm? See what I mean? Tell the stories. But instead, you got some buildings and no information. And I just go, man, did you know something about tourism? If you can get us to spend 2 hours spending doubles, 2 hours. And so if we were there for 10 minutes. It's like, okay, that's it. We could have stayed there for half an hour. That adds to that 2 hour limit. And when you get to 2 hours, we spend more money because now we're next to lunch. We need something to eat, something to drink, or we'll be close to a meal. And so that could be a great asset. But once again, no information. Across the street is Stump Lake Village Historical Museum. There's a threshing bee. Sunday and Monday, Labor Day weekend. But you know, most people, including me, I have no idea what a threshing bee even is. So sometimes, but at least it's an invitation to come back. It's an invitation to come back on Labor Day weekend. And we did go out there, Stump Lake Park. You know, we thought it was great. This is incredible. Is it ever open to the public? Yes. When is it open to the public? Memorial Day for, okay, so Memorial Day for Labor Day, by the way, that mindset, no offense, and I don't mean any offense, Memorial Day to Labor Day ended about 20 years ago. The peak months for baby boomers, who are the most eager to see historical attractions, is April, May, September, and October. Those are the 4 peak months for baby boomers. And they're the ones who love things like this. We were there after Labor Day, of course. We were in September, and we drove in there. It's absolutely stunning, but there's no signs that says when your season is, when it's open, maybe even if it's open. And I know volunteers and workers is really difficult when you go past Memorial Day to Labor Day. But I just keep thinking, even if it's weekends in September and October and weekends in April and May, and then open full-time during the summer. But there was no signs that said when or if it's ever open. It just looked amazing. You could spend a whole day right there. And I was just I was like, oh, we've got the, what do you call them, the farm carts, you know, the meal carts or whatever they call them. And there's not even interpretive signs. So if we're there when you're not open, we can't learn anything. But it looked absolutely amazing. I just thought, wow, what a missed opportunity for spring and fall. You know, but even if you're closed, we could still drive in there and at least look at the interpretive signs. I think it would be great. It would keep us there and keep us active. But lots of items that looks really cool, but have no clue what it's about. And that was really sad because it could be your biggest attraction by far. I mean, that would be worth a special trip, I would think. And I imagine people are coming from everywhere to go there. But once again, the one thing that's missing is any kind of signage at all that would get us to come back. We did find, you know, it says Friday, September 24th, bar, cafe, 6. I'm guessing Friday it's open at 6, Saturday, the 25th, the bar cafe is open at 3. You can pay your electricity bill here. I think you need a little bigger reader board. That was leaned up against the building, and so, but at least it had some hours there. And I'm really sorry that it wasn't, and I don't know if it's open Saturday. It says bar, cafe open at 6. I don't know if that's 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. If it's a bar, probably 6 p.m. If it's a cafe, maybe they are open at breakfast. I don't know. But once again, it looks great, but is it shut down after this? That's too bad. Because the RV park was full when we were there. And so, I mean, and I'm not sure. Somebody said the walleye fishing at Stump Lake is exceptional. Is that true? No. What is it best known for?
Out-of-state fishermen.
Out-of-state fish, okay. And what are they catching?
A buzz.
What?
A buzz.
A buzz, they're catching a buzz. Okay, so it's not good for anything besides stumps. Oh, is it? Okay, it's not stocked every year? Or?
Yes. Overfished.
Oh, it's overfished. Okay, great. Well, then what you do is you promote it for something else and let the fishermen do that, but don't promote it for something if it's being overfished. You can say this is a great sailing thing, and somebody could rent Hobie cats. See what I mean? It was windy when we were there, you can tell. But maybe it's kayaking, great kayaking lake. So what you do, if people are already coming from out of state to fish the walleye there and it's already being overfished, they don't promote as that, promote it as a great boating lake. See what I mean? And that way you still keep your fishermen, but you don't continue to promote it. One of my problems with this RV park, it's 100% full. Us as visitors can't even go there. And these are year-round, I think. I think it looked like it was just permanent residents, or not residents, but little like vacation homes. And so for us that are visitors, that would be more likely to go to the museum, would be more likely to go into McVille or any of your towns. We can't even camp here.
Yeah, you can.
There was no spaces when we were out there, none. And we went online and said it's permanently full.
No.
When can we go there?
All year round if you want.
But when we were there, it's 100% full, third week in September.
Them are all seasonal spots. There's 30 overnight spots.
Okay, no signage. We drove all the way through there trying to figure out where they were. Never, yeah, and so, okay, we missed them. Don't know where they're at. Never saw them. But, and then where do you go if you want to rent one? What do you do? Is there a phone number or something on the sign?
Signage right when you come in.
Okay, well, there was the signs when we first came in. And are you talking about this? So we can call these, right? Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay, might be nice to have one of those near the RV park, so that'd be great. But it's a great RV park. But when we were there, we kept driving around trying to figure out where could we camp, where could we camp. We never found those 30, whatever those sites are. So, but anyway, a fantastic park, really great park. And then Tolna, our last one about tourism. This seemed to be more of a trailer park than an RV park. Is it an RV park at all, or is it mainly just permanently rented out? So we didn't know. But for us, it was like, yeah, there was nothing there that was available, and they looked pretty permanent. One nice thing we liked about Tolna is we saw a sign, we drove right down to the end of the road, and we just thought that was really cool. So they have Tolna Bay there, and what's cool, they even have donations for dock improvements. We never saw a dock, but it could be, is the dock, I'm not sure is there usually a dock out here somewhere? No. Used to, oh, there used to be. Okay, so maybe they're looking for donations to look for a future dock or something. But I was going, wow, we have donations for dock improvements. We couldn't even find a dock to improve. But it looked like a really nice place. It's got fish cleaning station there. It's got the boat ramp as right there, and how this was made possible. And it had public restrooms there, a pit toilet, and a picnic shelter. We thought, you know, this was really nice. I just thought it was a really nice thing for Tolna. And we did go out to the Tolna Dam as well. And we did see it right there, recreation area, federal aid project. I mean, this is great. We drove out there. We saw the little picnic shelters. Just looked like a nice place. Incredible. I showed this picture earlier. It just looked like really, really a pretty, pretty place. I wish there would have been more hiking. But once again, now what would this like be? Why would somebody go to this one? Fishing? Is it good fishing? Does anybody know? And is it perch? Is it bass? Is it?
Perch, northern, walleye.
Okay. And so these are what I mean by you have all these lakes in it. As a matter of fact, Nelson County, everywhere we drove, we had water. But we don't know which lake to go to, which would be best for whatever the activity is. But beautiful. I just thought it was beautiful. It looked like a really good kayaking lake there. And then, of course, we also found Silver Creek Dam. You know, once again, it'd be nice if we knew what each one of these is best used for. If it's kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, whatever it is. There's the rifle range. We're not too sure. Is that private or public? It's public. And it says dedicated to memory of Oliver Tweets, you know, but I'm not too sure where the rifle range actually was. There was no information, where to call, no website address, no information. So one of the challenges you have is we go and we find all these great tourism assets and there's no information about them. We also did Whitman Dam. I think the sign needs to be redone because pretty much the arrow has gone off of it. We assumed it was turn right, and so we should. And it's 3 miles east, which is great. We went there, we saw that. It's got the good signage there. And this is where we saw a lot of water. And I don't know if hunting's allowed out here, but I could just see the waterfowl hunting out here being a major deal. But just a beautiful area. I mean, I just thought, wow, this is like wildlife viewing out here. And we thought it was really, really pretty. So there you go. You have tons of tourism assets, but most of them, we don't know when they're open, if they're open. There's just lack of signage, information, interpretive displays, anything. But fantastic. I just thought what you had was more than the other counties, basically. And so now we talk about downtowns. Each one of you, and this is my last one that I'm going to go through, and I want to take you to Parowan, Utah. This is a little town. There's Salt Lake City. There's Las Vegas. It's down by Cedar City, Utah. It's about 1.5 miles off of Interstate 15. And it's a town of about 3,000. And they're looking for their claim to fame. If you go to Parowan, you come off of Interstate 15, follow that yellow arrow, you come up here, and then you turn left. And if you want to go to Bryan Head, the ski area, you go right through the middle of this downtown. Then they have their downtown, which is like 1.5 blocks long. That's all it is. And then you can continue on to Bryan Head. They were trying to get people to stop. Rule number 1 in tourism, get people to stop, then get them to stay 2 hours and spending will double. And so they're sitting there going, what do we want to be known for? What is our anchor tenant? Why should somebody stop in Parowan? And they were working on the road when Google took these pictures. You can see they're going to put street trees down the street. And so they're working on all these street improvements. But there is this little cafe right there, Parowan Cafe. They're known for their cinnamon rolls. Well, they're not, I mean, all restaurants, pretty much all restaurants that serve breakfast at least serve cinnamon rolls. So they said, how can we make our cinnamon rolls so good that it would be our brand, it would be our anchor tenant, that people would make sure they stop in Parowan, even if they're not going up to Bryan Head, if they're just cruising down I-15. So Katie Lister, the owner of Parowan Cafe, said, would you help me make the best cinnamon rolls you could find anywhere? And so they had this, and their whole goal was if we could get 10 cars, would stop each day and spend $20. 10 cars a day spending $20. Cinnamon rolls plus coffee or milk or whatever goes with it, breakfast. That would be $6,000 a month in retail sales. And that was their whole goal. Well, so they started working on it. There is the Parowan Cafe. There it is inside. It's just a small, cute little cafe. And Katie started working with locals to come up with the very best cinnamon rolls. Number 1, they were big. She made cinnamon rolls that had strawberries in them. She did them with like a caramel in them. She had different kinds of cinnamon rolls. And then they invited KSL TV out of Salt Lake City down to try their cinnamon rolls. Reporter came down, went back up, and on the air said Parowan has the best cinnamon rolls in the West. Not just near Cedar City, in the West. Now they have a third-party endorsement talking about how great their cinnamon rolls are. Then other businesses started getting into cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon is how we roll. You know, and pretty soon the entire town was doing it. This is a Mexican restaurant right there. And that Mexican restaurant started selling these Caballeros. There it is. These are cinnamon apple chimichangas. Does that look good or what? Yeah. I mean, just incredible. I mean, it was amazing. The whole town started jumping into it. And so finding Parowan's sweet spot, you know, then they went out and they had like 6 places that were selling cinnamon rolls. As a matter of fact, they got a Michelin-rated chef to set up shop in Parowan. They hadn't had any new business there in 20 years. But then they put these out on Interstate 15 to get people to come in. And remember that 10 cars a day, spending $20? They ran into a problem. They had 1,500 a day. They were running out of cinnamon rolls at 8 in the morning. They were doing more than $6,000 a day, not a month. And so they had to start beefing up. And that is when Dan Ortega, right here, when he came in, he's the Michelin-rated chef, and says, hey, and he starts work at like 3 in the morning. And he has Papa D's Bakery right here, homemade goodness. I mean, it is amazing the stuff he makes. So now all of a sudden they can deliver on the promise. And so they put together little rat cards, like take the sweet tour, find out how each of these businesses put their own twist on cinnamon or on the cinnamon roll. They even listed the businesses. Now, you don't have to do this. If you had one place in one of your towns that was known all over North Dakota and it was in the news in Fargo and Grand Forks, guess what? You'd have people coming out here. You'd have an anchor tenant. They have done so well. They even sell cinnamon roll keychains. And so in their town, They have 4 to 6 places with them. They're vetted because you know what? It's not different. It better be the best. And different recipes paired with other foods that you can eat in, take out. They do an annual bake-off event. You can do take-home rolls. People buy them they'll come and buy boxes of them. Starter kits. You can do pastry chef classes there. They're even teaching their kids in grade, junior, and high school how to bake perfect cinnamon rolls. I mean, so that's ingrained in and there's the new bakery. I mean, other businesses are coming. It changed everything. So if we were to bring people out here, Rendezvous Region is the tourism. If they were to include, and I asked them, include Nelson County, because I think you have some of the best tourism assets. And if they came out here, how do we get people to spend money? And one of the challenges we ran into, like the bank, that looks good. That looks totally fine. Right here, I'm not sure, is this a business or is it just a private thing? Anybody know? See, we wouldn't know. There's no signs, there's no information, so I assume here's Aneta meat service. I don't know if this is open to the public or not, so we didn't go in there because we don't know. No signage. And this is a real frequent problem that you have. We have a little laundromat. I can't tell whether it's still in business or not because the door is so rusted. And there's no beautification, nothing to soften. Here's Silver Scissors. I think that's probably a hair salon. It looks okay, but there was no hours on the door, nothing. And so this is a big, huge problem. Queen City Cafe, we went up, pulled on the door, closed, no hours. And by the way, we were there when the hours posted said it would be open. You can't survive with, remember, anybody coming there is going to come here first, a visitor, and if the cafe looks cute, looks nice, have no clue when or if it's ever open. It was just a real problem everywhere we went. Is this in business? It is? I don't know, do they sell food or is it just a bar? Don't know. No hours. Nothing to entice us in the door at all. And so this is you know where I'm heading with this. I mean, this here probably is not a retail business or anything, but this could even be a business incubator space if it's not being used for anything. Or a live-work space where they live in maybe the back and the front is workspace, who knows. But we saw lots of opportunities like this. And we couldn't find anything in Aneta that was open. Except the post office. So we don't know. We were there in the middle of the day, middle of the week, have no clue. And we're visitors trying to spend money in your communities. And we have no clue. Our assumption for this one, long gone out of business. It does have the American flag there. It does have like a Coke machine there, but no signs. I don't even know what it is. What is it? It's an arcade. See, and they may say, yeah, but we only cater to locals. We don't want anybody else here. And in that case, the locals know when we're open. And that's fine if that's what you want. But for us, if we're trying to live there, you know, we might want to know, oh, they've got an arcade that's open to their kids. Same here. I have no clue. So, Lakota. This one here is nicely done. The only thing I would do here is we've got way too many signs and they're starting to look pretty haphazard. Way too many. So on Elaine's, which we've heard from people is absolutely fantastic. Just gotten rave reviews. But I just thought they've got a sign over here. There's another sign over here. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4 signs over here. It's a little too much. And I know they got homemade soup, sandwiches, scones, cookies, rolls, pie. I mean, probably do one sign that just says great food and then put antiques and florals and home decor and do that almost like a bullet point. Probably pull people in a little better. But the signs looked a little bit tired, you know, and when we were there in the middle of the day, there was a guy working there, but it was closed. And I'm not sure when it's open. We were going to have lunch there. We ended up eating at DQ here. And I was like, no, we wanted to eat there. But I don't know if that open sign is only for this drive-through or if it's for the whole, we couldn't tell. And so I just thought, man, if we could just, it wouldn't cost hardly anything to make this better. There's just too much to read when you're driving by. Remember, we're visitors. The locals probably know better. This here is this, what is this now? Is it anything?
Yeah, he's, the guy who owns the Pekin Lodge bought it and is turning it into lodging.
Oh, great. Okay, and now in that case, what I would do is put coming soon. I would just put coming soon. Such and such fitness center, you know, Pekin Lodge rooms, whatever it's going to be. I think it would be awesome. Just put coming soon. That way we see, wow, look at things are happening here. Things are really happening here. So that'd be a great opportunity. We went up to the door thinking it was a barbecue or a restaurant, and it was closed. And then down here, I think downtown Lakota has some potential, but it's hard to know who's in business and who isn't. It's really sad when the Legion has the best curb appeal and it's not really open to the public. And the places that are open to the public have zero curb appeal.
That's a bar.
This is where it says American Legion? Yep. Okay. But even in that case, where's my, right here, there we go. This sign is all blown out right here. And then the only thing I see is American Legion. I would have never known in a million years there was a bar in there. So these are the things, if you want people to live here and spend money here, are just kind of missing. You know, love the window display. I love that right there. And you can tell, I think this is an operating business, right? Is it the paper? Yeah. And so it looked like it. It looked always well maintained. This is obviously probably private residence or something, okay, which is fine, totally fine. In that case, we wouldn't expect any kind of signage. Same here. I thought this was a great building. Yeah, I thought that was a great building too that could be used for something. But it's not in business, right? There's no business in there? No?
We've got a
nope.
young guy that's in the process of buying it.
Yes! Good. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's great. Thank you. We appreciate you. I'm not sure what that is.
Used to be our grocery store.
Oh, and it's gone now? Okay, that's too bad. And then, so that's fine. And then, is this in business?
That's the Tiki Shack Bar and Grill.
But did there used to be a sign there, or is that a reader board?
Used to be a separate business.
All the doors were locked and there's no signs, no anything.
Used to be two separate businesses, now they're the
Now it's
bar
right there,
and
your
grill
next
are all in one.
Okay, because we did see, oops, wrong way. We did see the Tiki Shack over there, but
You enter in there and then you can circle around.
okay, and that was locked when we were there. As a matter of fact, one of these flags was out in the street, so I went and put it back. The wind, it got really windy that day. It's not the fault of anybody. But right there, it was locked. We didn't know. We could tell that. We thought it was in business. Do they sell food there, or is it just a bar? Food. Oh, okay. Is it good? Yeah. Oh, good. See, maybe they're the anchor tenant for Lakota. If you're here and Elaine's is closed, or you say give people 2 or 3 choices. And so, you know, I would add pots of beige. And once again, everything is gray, brown, and beige. Everything. It's just like, it's so drab looking. At least the little bit of yellow down there, gold, at least sort of grabs our attention. And so I'm going to go over, and I'm going to show you how you could fix this real inexpensively. McVille, a little downtown again. We have Joe's Bar. Every town has a bar. We noticed that. But most of them, you know, like McVille Gift Shop, we assume this is out of business. It is, okay, that's what we thought. It was locked. This is something you could do. You could do this in a little town. This is Fredericksburg, Texas. They had nothing along their facades to make their facades look nicer. Because we don't know what's open or not. The only way you know what's open, if you put potted plants out there with plants in them, we're going to guess somebody's taking care of them, therefore it's in business. Otherwise, we don't know because 50% of your buildings are empty or are closed, and we don't know which's open or not. So what they did is one merchant went down and said, I want to put pots every 3 feet all up and down our main street. Would you donate something? Somebody donated $5, somebody donated $200. I think their average donation was like $40. And they raised $3,500. Now this is a bigger town. For you, they might raise $300. But in their time, they raised $3,500. They went to a wholesale nursery in the urban area of Austin, Texas. You might go to Grand Forks or wherever and just say, nursery, at the end of the season, we want all your pots at pennies on the dollar. It doesn't matter if there's a hairline crack in them, if there's a chip on them, or if you had a pair of pots and one broke, we'll take the other one. All we want is 20 inches across opening on top of them. We don't want a bunch of little pots. So they went out and they bought about $1,000 worth of pots. And then they put them on a side street and said, everybody, help yourselves. They didn't say, you only paid $5, you only get one. They just said, help yourself. So this business here grabbed these 3 that kind of looked the same. This business grabbed these 1, 2, 3. This business grabbed these 3. This business grabbed these 2 and put them there. And then what they did is they brought a dump truck load of topsoil and they brought in a yard of round rock. And then they went to their youth organizations that were trying to raise money, whether they were like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, band, hockey team, football team, cheerleaders, any youth organization. They said, what we want you to do is go downtown and put, with wheelbarrows, and put round rock in the bottom of the pot, about 3 inches deep, then put a piece of landscape fabric, there was rolls of landscape fabric, then fill them full of topsoil. And they did that. And guess what? And that was another $500 or $600. They never had one case of vandalism because kids protect things they take ownership of. It worked. Then, because it was winter, they put pinwheels in them and Christmas decorations. Then in the spring, they spent the rest of the money planting them mainly with evergreens. There was some left over, so you can see a grouping. Look at that, a blade sign there, which we're going to talk about, blade signs. We're coming down the street. And it's really clear what they sell, art gallery. But what they did is they just lined the street with that. And this is why that's so important. That statistic that I already gave you, 70% of first-time sales comes from curb appeal. We all travel. Have you ever said, that looks like a nice place to eat? We didn't say that very often in these parts. And you're not the only county, the other ones. There were, most of the time, we hear people, that we have really good food. Well, it sure didn't look like it. See what I mean? We judge the book by the cover. But look at this. That is in Neenah, Wisconsin. That's before. Notice along the facade. We always believe cities and towns can do the street side, but merchants should always do the facade side. Before, after. Retail sales went up 35%, just going from that to that. 35% increase. And so when we're in your downtowns, it's just stark. And we had the same conversation in Grafton, everywhere we've been, it's just stark. The only landscaping you can see there is the weeds right there. You know, and so it's just, we've got little benches, but there's no pots, there's no plants. We just don't know what's open, what's not. We assume the super value's open because we see it's lit up and we can see there's neon signs in there. But most of the others have no clue. And so, I mean, I had the same conversation in downtown Bismarck. So it's not just the smaller communities, but I have no idea if anything's open or what any of this stuff is. And so we just don't know. And we don't need, you know, like this. Even the construction company, I would think, would just put beautification out there if they're still even in the building. Have no idea. And so when you go through this, you know, like this one here, at least they've got a couple of chairs, but I think kind of, you know, that I'd probably get rid of this one right here. It just looks a little tacky. But right there, it says Club Sandwich, so at least they put a sandwich board out there. And because of that, I knew they were in business. It's not really well done, but it's better than everybody else is doing. And so I think overall, it's like, good job. You're trying to pull people in the door. Here we could see some chairs right there. There's no blade signs. Blade signs are signs that are perpendicular. When we drive down a street or we're looking down a sidewalk, we look at blades, we look at signs that are sticking out like this. That's what we know. And so I'm looking down there. Why should I walk down there? All I see is Pepsi machines. There's no blade signs at all. And that was a problem everywhere. I have no clue what's down here. There's no signs. And the only way I'd see the signs on the building is if I go across the street. And so that's a real problem. And so this is something else you could do that'd be really inexpensive, signs like that. And by the way, always put on the sign what your primary product is, not the name of the business. Chocolate, collectibles, train, restaurant. Just like the one I already said about, what was it, Rustic Flea. If it would have said antiques and then on the door said Rustic Flea, I would have known instantly what it was. And then with some beautification, I would know that it's in business. In their case, they had the door open, which was good. But this is in Nantucket. These are all blade signs. And this is something everybody should have, even in the rural communities, are blade signs. I mean, Carmel, California, all the upscale towns, all the towns that we know of that are successful retail have blade signs. That's Valparaiso, Indiana, a little bigger downtown, so the signs are a little bigger. You know, Canmore, Alberta, love all those signs right down there. You know, Kitchen Boutique. I thought that was awesome. These are in Lethbridge, Alberta. They are built to 100-mile-an-hour wind loads. So these will withstand 100-mile-an-hour wind loads. They were just where it says the residents, they were just putting these in when I was there. They had just hung them up and they were just getting ready to put the stores in there. And typical rule, no lower than 9 feet, no lower than 7 feet, no higher than 9, so they could be 24 inches tall and about 42 inches wide. And these here even narrow. They're actually under awnings. So we even have a video that's available for you, for your businesses to watch. What would it take to pull more people in our door? We want to do the Rendezvous Region. What we're trying to do is get you ready so that the Rendezvous Region will send people to specific businesses, not just as towns. We'll say, when you're in Lakota, you got to stop at Elaine's or whatever. We want to promote every town's anchor tenant. And we're trying to get the anchor tenants ready so when they come, people will actually come in the door and not go, I don't think so. We don't want anybody saying that. This here I thought was a really great sign, but they're out of business, right? Looked like they were. But it looked really great. And this is gorgeous. Is it out of business too? Currently? Because that looks beautiful. It looks really, really nice. But once again, this is why we need pots and stuff out there so we know who's in business and who isn't. You know, the Super Value, it's got a bench there. It'd be nice if there's a couple of pots right there just to say, yes, we're here, we're open. You know, I think they did a great job there. You know, the bank does a good job, and they're not even retail. So off to Michigan. Michigan, we did see this Michigan Mall. Is this an actual mall or is it a restaurant?
It's a mall. It's a mini mall.
It is a mini mall. Okay, so it is a mall and the restaurant's in the mall?
Yep, right.
I see Michigan Mall and I see Horseshoe right there. And the Horseshoe sign is really good. Really well done. Once again though, but everything is brown, brown, beige, and gray. There you go. We got the color combination there. Brown, beige, and gray. And I kept going, man, you should, all of these. And then there's this building. Everything is stark. There's not a bench. There's not a pot. There's nothing. Nothing to soften the look of it. I think their signs are great. Even Hometown Foods, is it in there?
It is. It's behind there. It's in there.
Yeah, I figure it was. But I thought that was a great sign. Be nice if there was some beautification there. Now, remember I talked about, you showed those buildings. They're all like blank, nothing on them, just concrete block, like this, except for the sign. That sign's good. I thought you could do trompe l'oeil. So let me explain what that is. This, it means fool the eye. It's French for fool the eye. That building, there is no arch there. It's flat. That's all painted on what you see there. It's just a flat concrete wall building. That's during the process. There's Eric Groh. He's the guy who's doing all of this art. So that's during, there he is painting, and there it is, done. You can walk right up to this and you think it's three-dimensional. Even the shadows are painted on. And so we've seen towns do facade easements where you say, give us the easement to your facade and we will paint this whole thing with trompe l'oeil, fool the eye type murals. And they become a tourist attraction before, during, after. Pretty amazing. One of my favorite ones is in Winslow, Arizona. How many of you are singing it right now? Standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. Such a fine sight to see. There's a girl, my Lord, in a flatbed Ford. See the reflection? Slowing down to take a look at me. And there's our guy right there standing on the corner. That is Jackson Browne. The way this song worked, Jackson Browne was on Interstate 40 going through Arizona. His car broke down. He pulls into Winslow, and he's sitting there waiting for his car, and he starts to write the song. He could never finish the song, so he gave it to his friend, Glenn Frey. And Glenn Frey and the Eagles made it their first major hit. Here's the point. That used to be a furniture store, and you could see the reflection in the glass window right there of the girl in the flatbed Ford. And you can see kind of furniture in that reflection. Up here in one of the windows, they actually have an eagle sitting there, pay homage to the Eagles. And 1.5 million people a year stop in Winslow just to get their picture taken on that corner. And this shop, standing on the corner store right here, she goes 99% of her business comes from people taking pictures across the street. They don't even know her store exists until they're standing there. And there's the flatbed Ford. They even put one there. And they, you know, and so you can see people over there taking the pictures. And there is Glenn Frey right there, the author of the song. But you can see people doing that. But notice the reflection. You can kind of see the furniture store over there. Well, guess what? That furniture store actually fell down a long time ago. You're just looking at the other side of that wall. That's trompe l'oeil. You could do a Where's Waldo wall somewhere in town, and people will be coming from everywhere to try to find where Waldo is on it. Whatever it is, you could tell any kind of story. It doesn't matter. But I just kept thinking, this would be a cool way to get grant funds to beautify some of your buildings and actually build a story in them. Because you have so many candidates. Now, we assume this is also gone, right? And so this is the problem. This is why beautification and blade signs are so important, so we can know, obviously, what's open and what's not. So, going to Pekin, here we go. Go in there. This is a really cool building. And I thought this could be a big business incubator. It could be, I just thought it was a really cool building, so I had to take pictures of it. But it was like the only thing in town that I saw that could be leveraged in Pekin some way. And then in Petersburg, come downtown, gorgeous building right there. I have no idea what it is, but I thought it had some potential. I think this is the town pump. Looks like it's in business. Is it? Does anybody know? It is. I'm not sure whether they sell food, not sure what their hours are. Once again, lack of signage, but at least it has a nice sign up there and down below. But once again, no signs. Even if you go up there, there's no signs to say when it's open or if it sells food or whatever. So we just don't know what the difference is between a bar, a saloon, and if they even sell food. Right here, figured that was long gone. There was this guy walking in there, and I thought, is this in business? Maybe he owns a building. Have no clue. And so these are opportunities, but for us, we don't know. In Tolna, you know, that's Union Oil there, and this looked, I can't remember what that even was, but it looks like it's sort of open, but there was no hours posted. And so, there you go. First impressions are lasting impressions. The sign looks great, Sportsman's Bar and Grill, but it's all rusted around the windows. We need paint up there. We just hang up our beer signs. We got weeds down there. I mean, this is North Dakota, and you say, yeah, but Roger, you haven't been here in the winter. I've seen towns look beautiful even in the winter. You could do something that just adds some appeal. The grocery store was very busy. Nice. It would be, you know what? And that is a grocery store we went in, but there's not even a sign on the building. And so that just kind of blew us away. You know, and here's the bank. That looks great, except it'd be nice if it had some pots and planters. They do have, right there, at least something, so we know they were in business. And that's how cool that is. I want to just show you what you could do. Besides those pots I showed you, one more. This is Laverne, Minnesota. Southern Minnesota, western Minnesota, down south near Sioux City. No, is that right? No, it's near, what is that? No, not Rapid City, Grand Rapids. Sioux Falls. I always get those Sioux Falls, Sioux City, you know. But Laverne, Minnesota is right there. It's a small town, but I just want to show you what they did. Now, this is in front of a restaurant. Even though they're not using outdoor dining, notice the chairs are stacked up, at least you know they're in business. You know right away that they're in business, and it looks nice. But look at this. They just did window baskets here and a little rocker there. And every night they put the rocker inside the store. The window baskets stay there. That's a little retail shop. Got a nice blade sign right there. And there are the blade signs they did in their downtown. They look really great. But then if you go down here, look at, see, you just tell, oh, look, they're in business. You can see this one right here. We've got a nice 2 chairs, a table, and a pot. Here we've got 2 pots, a table, a chair. Look at, you just keep going down, and you know. I mean, that's not a restaurant. They just put the table and the chairs and the pots there just to say, welcome, that we're open, that we're in business, and great window displays. This doesn't have to be expensive. You do this for a couple $100, even something like that, because they know somebody's taking care of the flowers, so it must be in business. I mean, I just think these are really great, simple ideas you can do. One thing that's really important is who spends the money. Women account for 80% of all consumer spending. I'm waiting. Usually there's a guy in the audience that pipes up and says, that's all? But it's an absolutely true fact. And I want you to look at the next photo, which was not staged. What do you see? The guys are in the benches. Guess what? They're waiting for their wives. Now, I just have 2 words for you. There you go. Think benches. And I'm here with Jane, my wife, who is, where is she? She's way back there in the back. And I can't secret shop without her. And the reason is, women see things that are totally different than men. Women are going to be much more inclined to go to places that look safe, they feel welcome, and that's what's really, really important. So if you had a bench flanked with pots, you know, I took that and you follow Oklahoma, they don't all have to be cookie cutter. You can be whatever you want. It just makes you feel welcome. And for women, priority, I want to feel safe, I want it well lit, full of life and people. And they don't want to go into a bar that looks like a sleazy bar. They'll go into a bar if it doesn't look like that. You know, if they don't feel like I'm going to be intimidated or I don't know who's in there. And that's been kind of an issue with us on this whole trip. You wonder why we do this at home. Why do we put those on our front porch? We may never sit and it makes our home feel welcome. Same thing works for retail. And so for places like this, I think that's great. I think it says, welcome Sherman. I don't know what happened there. I think they're still in business because the neon lines were lit up, but there's no hours. It's L&J's Bar. We do have, instead of a flower pot, we have a spare tire and wheel. That's always nice, handy to have in case somebody needs one. But if you could just imagine this with hours and with some pots out there, even in front of a bar, would be way more likely to pull us in than what they're showing. You know, places like, I think that is the coolest building ever. I don't know what it is or what it's supposed to be. I just thought it was really cool. I thought I had a lot of opportunity there. And then, of course, you know, the gas station, it's really obvious, but even they could put just anything to soften it, just make the town look inviting. And I think that is so critical. You know, same here. You could even do trompe l'oeil or any kind of mural on there or any just color, anything but gray. You know, and this is the event center in Tolna, and it looks like it's mostly empty according to that sign there. And I thought, well, you know, that's some great opportunity. I'm glad they're using what used to be probably a school into a business incubator. So that's awesome. That's it. Now, I want to talk a little bit about marketing. This is mainly going to be on the Rendezvous region. One of the things, the top things I want them to do is create an RV guide. And that RV guide would tell us restaurants, it would tell us groceries, where we get propane, all that stuff you see there, you know, top activities, where we go, and your campgrounds, rates, the seasons, the amenities. And so that's one of the top priorities because RVers are a huge market for you. I think they would love North Dakota. And you know they're going to be coming over. By the way, Canada's going to open the border in a couple of weeks. So finally we're going to get people coming over that way. But I also want them to create a website that's more like pick your season, pick your passion, where it says we're open year-round. Come and check us out year-round. Pick which season. And then we can even put the months. So we've got September through May. Then we have June, July, and August, right? Kidding. Just kidding. This is definition I got from locals. Actually, we'd rather have it be like this. There you go. November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and October. Wouldn't it be great if we say, well, let's pick the time. If we pick winter, then we say, okay, what's your passion? You pick your season. You want to go ice fishing, snowboarding, downhill skiing, which would be probably a Pembina Gorge, holiday happenings, fat tire bike, whatever you have. Then you click on one of those, and then you say, here's our top ice fishing spots, whether it's Stump Lake, Larimore Dam, Red River. We don't know where it is. I just put those there, and we'd have photos there. And we do our top three of everything. And by the way, it says, and if you like those three, go to our website, click here, and there's 3 more, and 3 more. So overall, we'd like to find the top 3 hiking trails, top 3 golf courses, top 3 fly fishing. When people use the web, they will type in best hiking, best walleye fishing North Dakota. They don't ever put in the location first. They're always putting it top or best. And then this way, they'll pick you up. Even influencers will pick up your best ofs, and they will follow suit. But we just thought, and we could do a history tour. We'd love to get all your museums working together, even if they're only open on Saturdays from 10 to 3, you know, and we could get them all open so we could create a history trail. People could go to multiple sites. And what we're trying to do is on your way to wherever. So let's say we're pulling people out of Grand Forks or Fargo, and we get them coming up this way. We need to tell them, here's a place to gas up. Here's where to pick up supplies, fishing, hunting, etc., whatever you're looking for. And here's where to have lunch or dinner. We're trying to promote the businesses in your town. And if they're not coming in an RV or their own ice fishing trailer, then where can we stay? Whether it's Airbnb, motel, whatever it is. And what else while we're here can we do while we're there? And this is so critical. And we want to promote specific businesses in specific towns. And we're hoping that over the next 6 months, you will get ready, and then we will bring you customers to these businesses. But right now, most 90% of the businesses we saw, I don't know I'd even go in, because they just have no appeal, no hours, no signage, or very little. So here's the last thing for you. If you can, write this down or take a picture of it. There is an online survey right now, and it's bit.ly, weigh in now, and the capital W, capital I, capital N. We want everybody in this county to fill out this questionnaire. It's online, and it asks you, what do you think our 3 greatest assets are? What do you think our 3 greatest challenges are? What is the one thing you could use in your town? And so we want you to, and they could even be outsiders waiting. We don't care if people in Fargo use this. We're interested in what they say as much as we're interested in what you say. And we do ask where you live so we can separate them out. So I want you to do this, and we want you to publicize it. Email your friends, everybody. This is going to run for about 30 days. It'll run, well, it probably will end up running about till Thanksgiving. But we want to hear from you. We want your input. Was there anything useful here? What would you like to see? The Red River Regional Council really wants to help you. And so where do you go from here? You know, first thing we need to know, all these towns are incorporated. They're incorporated for a reason, to have home rule. And so, do you want to be part of this project? Create a Destination Lakota team. We want every town. We can't, I don't think the county or Red River Regional Council can't go into McVille and tell them, here's what you should do. We need to create a local team that we can help. So we need a Lakota team. We need a McVille team. We need a Petersburg team. We need a little team of, it could be 2 people even, just anybody that wants to make a difference. Then we're going to give you this whole presentation. You can have it. You can have the slides. You can have pictures. You'll have the photos. You have all of it. It's all yours. And we're going to give it to, I've already given it to Stacy at the Red River Regional Council. And so she's got all the slides. She's got everything. You say, well, send us a PDF of all those slides or whatever you want. And if you want photos, say, we want those photos you showed of our community. They'll get you started. At least it shows the fall color, which is amazing here. And then finally, in closing, amazing people don't just happen. And you know what? It only takes 1 or 2 or 3 people in each community to make a difference. You know, tourism, downtowns, chambers, economic, this is all private sector stuff. And so we want you to put together your team, and it might have a mayor or council representative. This is kind of a sample list, a downtown property owner. But what's happening is, right now, I'm preaching to the choir. We need to preach to the people that need to make a difference in front of their stores, their shops, you know, to just make them a little bit better so we can send customers, and the customers, because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. We need the businesses to open the door so they'll drink. And so that's what this is all about. And so we're hoping that each of these towns could do this. And then as the county, you're far more powerful as one loud voice than a bunch of little voices. I know the Rendezvous region, I don't think it didn't really include Nelson County, right? We want it to. Because I think some of your best assets are here in this county. I think they're awesome. And I don't see any reason, if we're working right next door in Grand Forks County, why can't we just keep people coming out this way? And so it's Pembina County, Walsh County, Grand Forks County, and Nelson County out this way. So it does include Cavalier County. And some people have said, maybe we should partner with Stump Lake. My problem with partnering with Stump Lake is they're going to pass all of your lakes to go to that one. Because all your lakes are known as dams, they're known as a lake. And so that's something, so we don't want to have it like overshadow what you have. Although you're close, here in Lakota could take advantage of that. But this is the typical economic development express. Everybody's doing their own thing. And this is about getting everybody to go from that to that. And with that, that is all I have. How about that? I actually did that fairly close to on time. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? It's going to be, I think what you have here is amazing. And I can't imagine it wouldn't be amazing year round. I mean, I see the ice fishing trailers you guys have that lower down. I mean, I haven't seen those even in Wisconsin and other states. Those things are amazing. So I know that's got to be a big popular sport here. But I just don't see any reason why somebody wouldn't live here, wouldn't start a business here. And by the way, if you're a town of less than 100 people, your downtown's not going to come back. You can't come back in the age of Amazon. 50% of all households in America pay the $120 or whatever it is to be Amazon Prime members. I mean, that's so, but for any town over that, all these other towns like Lakota and Petersburg and these that have populations of over 100 people, there's no reason why you can't be a vibrant community that people would want to live in. I think it's awesome.